Hey headphone people, welcome back to the channel. MrAyrit here, and today we're going to review the Philips Fidelio X3, but first we got to clean it up. So I'm going to show you my favorite new tool, or one of them anyway. This was just like an impulse buy. You know, I saw a Facebook ad where it was like cleaning cat hair off of a rug or something like that. And I got this little thing and it works great for cat hair, but it also works great for these pads because these things, boy, do they really gather some lint on them. But this little guy, I mean, I wish it was a little bit smaller, but it works really well for scraping this stuff off. So I just thought I would share that because I need to do this anyway before I do the review. Oh, it's just so satisfying to get all that crap off of there. Look at how much that is. Bundle it all up. I'm gonna keep doing this review in just a moment. Okay, that's at least a little bit better anyway. The Philips Fidelio X3, I'll just call them the X3s here. You know, this headphone, I haven't seen a ton of people reviewing it. I haven't seen, it doesn't seem to be very popular at all. I saw a couple of reviews come out when it was first released, and they were pretty underwhelming. And then the other thing is like it came out at a price of about like $300, which I can agree that for that price it's definitely not competing with things at that price level. But now, I mean, you can get them for, I don't know, 120, 130 bucks. So pretty much the same price as the X2 HR, which was a headphone that I liked. I bought it a couple of different times and it never found a permanent spot in my collection, but I did always just kind of like appreciate what it did. So I did want to try the X3s just to see how they compared, and you know, maybe if they corrected a couple of those things that bothered me with the X2 HR to make it a more usable headphones. And I do think that they have addressed a couple of my main gripes with the X2 HR, which we'll get into. And I really think it's a fun headphone. It's not like, if you're going for linear, super accurate, very highly resolving, this isn't going to be the headphone for you. I'll just tell you that right now. But if you're just looking for like a fun headphone with a little bit different tuning, you know, it might be worth a look. It might be worth a look. So let's take a look at what it comes with, and we'll look at build and talk about maybe some of the changes that they made from the X2 HR to this, and then of course we'll talk about sound. Let's start with the packaging. It's decent package, right? Like I mean, I'm not huge on like doing unboxings and things like that, but just, you know, it's like Sennheiser quality box, I would say, as far as just like what it comes with. You know, it's got a pouch in there that you can put the headphones in, and it comes with a couple of cables, which is pretty cool. Although, if you're familiar with the channel, you know what my gripe's going to be about them. So they are both cloth cables. It's dual 2.5 millimeter terminations. One of them is a 3.5 single-ended cable. The other is a 2.5 balanced cable. The problem, of course, is they're, you know, 8-10 feet long, longer than I would like them to be. And what really frustrates me, though, because I've just been having some conversations about this in the comments with other people, is like, I can appreciate that some people need a longer cable, but if they're going to include two cables like they do here, which is cool because they got one unbalanced, one balanced, but the balanced 2.5, it's still like 8 to 10 feet long, right? Like, it's just too long for use with a portable player. Like, so you can see that I've got mine bundled all up here because I was trying to use this with the Qtel X5K as I'm testing that, and I had to shove this much wire into my pocket as I was using that. So if you're designing it to be used with a portable with balanced, why would you make the cable like 8 feet long? That just doesn't make sense to me. I could see having a shorter balanced cable and then a longer home use cable, but they're both that long. So I don't know. That kind of stuff just frustrates me. The cables are fine. You know, they're cloth covered. they do hold their shape a little bit. I mean, they're nothing to write home about. I appreciate that they give you 2. I just wish that the balanced one was like 5 feet long or 6 feet long, okay? Setting that aside. Now, the headphones themselves are quite simple and really I think are kind of like a modern, more elegant design. You can see they have this kind of fabric design language to them where everything is really kind of covered in this fabric, and then it's kind of just, this is plastic, it's not metal. I think it's plastic, but it looks kind of like metal, and it's like they have rotating, so the whole headphone kind of rotates within this little circle here, and this is pretty similar to the X2HR, but the X2HR had just like an open grill here on there instead, which I thought looked pretty cool myself, actually. Similar to the X2HR, they've got like a band up here. This one's a little bit different from that one. This one might be all plastic, where the other one had like 2 metal bars run through it, and then it's a suspension strap, you know, system here, which I like that kind of system. You can see it's like thin plastic in there, and then it's you know, there's elastic inside of there. Okay. So as you put these headphones on your head, well, we should talk pads here first too. Pads are like velour. It's pretty similar to the X2HR, maybe slightly different material. It's kind of hard for me to tell, and I don't have one here to directly compare to. As you can see, they are definitely lint magnets. They are replaceable and use kind of the same, just nice little 4-pin system, so it's really easy to pop these on and clean them if you need to, or I'm sure you can get replacements from somewhere if you need to get replacements. And then so pads are nice and cushy. They're pretty stiff actually, and I find the material just slightly scratchy, so they're not the best pads in the world. But overall comfort's good. I always like these suspension strap systems. You know, I think they end up fitting heads relatively well. These don't have a lot of side-to-side wiggle, though, would be probably the main complaint about build and comfort with them. But all in all, I think they're reasonably comfy headphones. You can see they're pretty big, though, in that band. You know, the one downside to this style of headphone is you get this huge, kind of weird-looking band at the top, but who cares, right? So I like the design. Do I like it better than the X2HR? I don't know. I mean, I like that it's got a detachable cable. The pads are maybe slightly more comfortable. All in all, it's probably a wash, though. But decent build quality. What you would expect for a headphone from $100 to $200, I would say. So let's get into sound. These headphones, how to describe the sound of these guys? It's different, is the way I'll put it. It's not bad different. It's maybe bad if you look at it from a technical perspective, right? The frequency response is absolutely not flat. It is peaky and has valleys and it's not linear at all. That being said, I found when thinking about the X2HR, since more people have maybe heard that headphone, that's a big V-shape headphone, right? Very big bloaty bass on the X2HR, although not necessarily unpleasant, but just big bloaty bass, and then kind of a dip in the middle, and then very sparkly up top. I would say that this is a more refined version of that, to where it still has some boomy bass, but it's brought back from what I remember the X2HR being. And the V, again, on the upper end is not quite as strong. And I wouldn't say, the other thing is I don't think that those elevations in the lower and upper frequencies, they're not really well extended out. It's more like mid bass and then like mid treble is where they kind of peak. And it makes for a different and kind of interesting sound that, again, I don't feel like is technically very good, but it does have a quality to it that just is kind of fun and enjoyable to listen to the point where, like, I think if you put this on and your goal is to like really analyze like all the details of music and like the performance of the headphone and things like that, you're probably going to walk away pretty disappointed from it. But if you're just putting it on to kick back and relax and listen to some tunes with a fun, frequency response, I think it's okay for that. I mean, it certainly isn't like a super resolving headphone or anything. I just did a little bit of comparing with the Beyerdynamic Tigers just because they were sitting on my couch when I was watching Dark here on Netflix. Is a series I've been getting into lately, so check that out if you're a sci-fi fan. It's kind of like a science fiction time travel soap opera. Is German soap opera is how I would put it, but it's interesting. But anyway, I used these to start with, and I was enjoying myself, and I thought it was fun. And then I switched to the Tigers, and I was like, wow, this is just way more accurate and just more resolving, and I just felt like very much more linear than this was. And then that was kind of the same thing when listening to music. Like, I listened all morning to this, and I've had this headphone for like a couple of months, right? But I listened all, and I've tried it on and off throughout that, but I listened all morning this morning with it, with the Q Deluxe 5K, just kind of walking around doing yard work, housework, stuff like that. And I generally enjoyed myself and didn't have a lot to complain about. But as soon as you switch to something that's more resolving and more linear, like you can, and better extended, like you can tell pretty much instantly. All that being said, I mean, I do feel like the X3 still has a charm to it that I enjoy. So it's hard for me to recommend it just because it isn't, like, I really don't feel like technically it's a good headphone, right? But it is enjoyable. So maybe the people that should look at this are like, if you have something like a 400 SE from Hifiman, or like a 5XX or something like that, or if you've got like a Sennheiser 560S, or, you know, like I said, like the Tigers. And if any of those headphones, if you just feel like they're maybe a little flat or a little boring, or they're just not quite doing it for you, then maybe that's when you wade into this territory and you try, you know, this guy out, or its older brother, the X2HR out, and just see how you feel about kind of a little bit different, you know, frequency response that's more tuned, I'd say, just to be fun, as opposed to reveal like any sort of technicalities in any way, shape, or form. And you know, I think that's it. Like, again, I feel like there's, in this $100 to $200 price range, there's definitely better headphones than this. Probably any of those ones I mentioned are actually better than this headphone when it comes to like objective, like performance. But subjectively, I don't know. I mean, I think I would reach for these. I think if I had all those other headphones, I think I would still, and I actually do have all those except the 560S right now, but I think I would probably reach for this equally as much as any of those, just because it's fun and easy to listen to. So I guess that's where I'll end the review for this. So, you know, it's just a different headphone. I don't think it'd be my only headphone, but to have this and another one of those more linear, better performing headphones, I think would be a good entry point if you're looking to just start comparing a couple of headphones and trying some things out. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this one. Different opinions, you know, comments, questions, drop those down below. Please like if you found this useful. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're interested in more, you know, headphone and audio content. And then also, don't forget to check out the Patreon link that's down below if you'd like to support the channel, or any of the affiliate links that are down there as well. As always, I thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in the next one.